we find Andrew's and my favourite parable, the parable of the Good Samaritan, as told by Jesus in Luke's Gospel, Luke chapter 10. In response to the question from a lawyer, "And who is my neighbour?" Jesus tells the following story. As a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, some robbers attacked him. They tore off his clothes, beat him, and left him lying there, almost dead. It happened that a Jewish priest was going down that road. He walked by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite also, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. Then a Samaritan travelling down the road came to where he was. When he saw the man, he was moved with compassion. The Samaritan went to him, treated and bandaged his wounds. He put him on his donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day, when he departed, the Samaritan took out 2 silver coins, gave them to the innkeeper and said, "Take care of him. If you spend any more money on him, I will repay you when I return." Then Jesus said, "Which one of these 3 do you think was a neighbour to the man who was attacked by the robbers?" The lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." And then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." The conclusion is that the neighbour figure in the parable is the one who shows mercy to the injured man. That is, the Samaritan. I have sermonised thoughts on this passage on a number of occasions, but always in normal or old normal pre-COVID times. And then I might have said something like, "It's pretty easy to go to church on a Sunday, put some money in the offering plate and donate to our special charities and causes around Christmas, or send a few pounds to a missionary in a far-off land. But getting involved with people, well, that's hard. We don't make an impact on the lives of other people by walking by as far away from their mess as possible. Instead, it's when we have compassion to get involved in their lives that we are truly showing the love of God to them." And I might have also added, when doing good, we shouldn't count the risk or the reward. The priest and Levite both counted the risk and determined that it was too risky to help out, and so they walked on by. The Samaritan didn't. It takes getting outside of our comfort zone to show mercy and compassion to others, and sometimes there's risk involved, but God calls us to love others despite the risk. All good stuff and all good thoughts, I guess. But these are not old normal pre-COVID times. We are in the midst of a global pandemic like none of us have ever seen. Today, as I'm preparing this message, nearly 25,000 people have contracted the virus in England alone, and around 280 people have died just today. Just today. And the government guidance that we are currently instructed to follow in this strange time seems to challenge even the message Jesus is giving us through this parable. Let us suppose there is a man collapsed on the street in our town, lying on the ground, unconscious, perhaps not even breathing. I mean, who knows? People such as the priest and the Levite see him, and they pass by on the other side of the road. In some ways, they are doing the right thing by following the guidance and stopping the spread of coronavirus by keeping their distance. And then along comes another man, such as the Samaritan. Let's call him Sam, who stops to help. Ignoring the message of maintaining a 2-meter social distance, Sam risks his own safety by just stopping and helping out. He has no idea whether the collapsed and unconscious man has coronavirus or not. Sam has checked him over and realizes he's not breathing. And so he's called 999 for help, and he begins to give chest impressions, CPR. No one steps forward to help Sam, so he continues with CPR for several minutes until the ambulance arrives and the paramedics take over. Let me tell you, I am first aid trained. What would I do? What about you? What would you do? Sam risked his safety by stopping and treating the unconscious man. Possibly he risked his life. It was risky to help, but he did it anyway. And mercy requires sacrifice, both loving God with all our hearts and loving our neighbours as ourselves calls for sacrifice. It comes with sacrifice. And like the Good Samaritan, Sam was willing to make a sacrifice. Are you? Communion. We now come to a time for communion which you are invited to take part in. You can do this in one of two ways. You can either stop the recording and use the text in the e-service PDF document, or if you have already prepared the bread or the biscuit and the wine or the juice or the squash, then you are invited to quietly reflect on the words of the next song as it plays, and eat the bread and drink the wine during it as it plays. It lasts about 3 3/4 minutes. The song is entitled In Remembrance of Me, and it's a communion song.